Public Q&A presents AskReddit question. If a conjoined twin commits a murder, who goes to trial? And if one of them is innocent, how do you punish the other? Supreme Court case waiting to happen. Not for a little bit, unfortunately. May her memory be a blessing. Eli 5. What's going on in the US? I see that there was this one judge that was really important for the American folk, but not sure why. The Supreme Court in America, the highest court in the land, essentially the final port of call for all decisions, has 9 judges, and when someone is appointed to the SC, they are on it for life. Terrible idea, but that's another story. This makes it a very big deal when one of them dies, and results in a lot of debate and competition about who will replace them, what their political affiliations will be, how biased they are, etc. Because they stay on for life, it's a far more long-term decision than choosing a president. It's less democratic, the people do not get a direct vote, and the SC is arguably a more powerful institution than the office of president. In the case of RBG, it's an especially big deal because she was arguably the most respected person on the SC, considered fair, straight-talking, hard-working, and passionate about protecting the citizens of the US. It's generally agreed that the world has lost a real diamond, and there is every possibility that Trump and the GOP will try to replace her with someone less fair, less progressive, and more biased. In the 1600s, a man by the name of Lazarus Coleridou killed a man, but had his death sentence commuted because it would have also killed his parasitic twin. Imagine being a conjoined twin, and your brother commits murder, and you're called the parasite. Ouch. This is less of a conjoined twin and more of excess limbs. The parasitic twin bit refers to how the twin was by all measures not as neurologically developed as even a baby. Eyes always shut, incapable or choosing not to speak, mouth always open, only really moving if stimulated. Wikipedia page on it implies with sufficient medical tools. Not sure if we can do it today, but eventually the parasitic twin could be removed without killing the independent or host twin, making them a literal parasitic twin. Yeah, but if I went with the technical term, my comment wouldn't have worked. I am so creeped out right now. The weirdest thing is that the dude went on to father kids. It's like, bro, how are you getting laid? Asking for a friend. There's an episode of, I think, Grey's Anatomy, where one of the conjoined twins had a girlfriend that ended up cheating on him with the other twin, and leaving the first twin. How would you cheat? Does she whisper into one of their ears, "This isn't for him, it's for you"? And how would the other person not notice? They literally spend 100% of their time together. If I recall, she actually doesn't cheat on him. She says that after her boyfriend falls asleep at night, she and his twin stay up talking for hours, and she falls in love with him. I think she admits it after her boyfriend brings up that his twin once accidentally touched her while they were having sex, and she keeps being like, "It's fine, I didn't mind," and then he realizes she liked it. The fuck did I just read? Weird shit abounds on that show. A fish swims up a guy's urine stream and gets stuck in his penis. One dude blows up part of the hospital after his friend shoots him with a bazooka. One guy gets his penis cut off twice in the same episode by 2 different women. Lot of penis injuries, actually, now that I think about it. I am not interested in penis injuries, but which show is this? Grey's Anatomy. 16 seasons of batshit insanity. Shit gets real crazy in a show when it gets that many seasons. The writers have to really think outside the box. It was an emotional affair. It was an entanglement. In that episode, it was rather about emotional cheating, not physical. The girlfriend and the other twin started to have feelings for each other, and the boyfriend twin confronted them with this, then the girlfriend confessed that it's true. They didn't kiss or anything. Grey's Anatomy isn't a comedy, is it? It is if you're a doctor. That's how lawyers feel about suits, lol. Every character does something in every episode that should get them disbarred, but they act like it's just normal, legal, and smart lawyering. For example, my wife was watching an episode about an opera singer with mesothelioma asbestos lung cancer who didn't want his lung removed because it would end his career. They came up with the heroic solution of putting a tube down his throat and irrigating his lungs with chemo, which would definitely damage his lungs enough to end his career, if not just straight kill him. Killing him is actually the more likely of the two, and B wouldn't work anyway because mesothelioma is a cancer of the outside lining of the lungs, so the chemo wouldn't get where it needed to go. Ah God, that seems like the most basic research issue. Not intentionally. The twins were the Sklar brothers. What Lumfeo? That was her plan all along. Wouldn't the brother, like, get in the way? What a disturbing image this has put in my mind. I am sure I'll be thinking about this for a long time. The brother merely enhances the fun. Would it be considered a threesome or a 2.5-some? This new season of 2.5 Men took a weird turn. Found the Crusade Kings player. There were conjoined twins on a show once, and they were asked about intimate relationships. They said the other one wears a headset and watches TV or listens to music. Or plays the trombone. Lay down and let the girl do work as she bumps against. I don't want to play this game anymore. Great, even fucking conjoined twins are getting laid. Quite a few people would definitely fuck Pennywise, so being freaky definitely doesn't guarantee no sex life. You just need one of three things: money, lowered expectations, or personality. Or in this case, morbid curiosity and extreme boredom. I'll take lowered expectations for $200, Alex. I love that it mentions that if he didn't want attention brought to the fact that he had a person growing out of his torso, he put his cloak over him. Nothing to see here. I have just got a lump in my cloak about the size of a man's upper body. Nothing to see here at all. If you listened carefully, you'd hear the twin moaning, "Quaid, start the reactor." Parasitic twins generally have non-functional hearts and incomplete brains. I am shocked they spared him. I guess it was the 1600s. Whoa, fascinating. If someone pushed the breast of Jonas Baptista, he moved his hands, ears, and lips. That broke my heart, man. How awful. I wonder how developed he was. Could he know he existed? I wondered that myself, but even if he had no mental capacity whatsoever, if it caused him pain, or anything like that, it's beyond cruel. And I worry, just a theory, that if he couldn't communicate, but had a functional brain, he would never have been able to convey he was in pain, cold, hungry, nothing. Just a horrible case of locked-in syndrome, where people pushed his breast for shits and giggles. That would be horrible. Kind of where my mind went to as well. Just misery. I am sure the brother was brain dead because of the position of the head. I can't imagine dangling upside down wouldn't have major consequences. Web address. This guy seems to be doing all right. There have been multiple people with similar deformities, and while some of them die or have many health problems, it doesn't seem to damage their brains. Parasitic. What's the difference between parasitic and combined? Parasitic seems to imply less agency or humanity on the other twin's part. Conjoined are more like a team going 50 or 50 on some organs, while a parasitic twin is also called unequal conjoined twin. One is more dependent on the other twin. Like this guy's brother was severely underdeveloped, basically an upper body sticking out of his belly. He was alive but didn't open his eyes or speak. Very strange things exist in this world. The biological definition of parasitic would imply he didn't eat or drink, and just survived through his brother's organs and nutrients. He didn't speak or open his eyes, and didn't seem to move much, so he definitely had less agency. Here's a Slate article written by 4 attorneys on what would be done. If a Siamese twin commits murder, does his brother get punished too? TLDR. You might throw both twins in prison, but treat only the guilty one as if he were a convict. When the siblings were released, for example, the good twin would have all the rights of a normal citizen, while the evil twin would have lost the right to vote, be registered as a sex offender, etc. You might even compensate the good twin according to the relevant payout rules for wrongful convictions. You might be tempted to shorten the prison term, or substitute home detention, or supervised release. The courts might impose a fine on the guilty twin instead of a prison sentence. Another possibility would be enforced separation. There's little chance that the courts would allow for this kind of violation of the body, however. Wouldn't fining one twin just punish the other? I mean, they should have the same job and pay for all their expenses together, except for minor things like phones or snacks. It would depend very much on how they were conjoined. If they are conjoined at the midsection, for example, they potentially have complete independent cognition and control of their hands and arms. And so they could work 2 different desk jobs or jobs that could be done remotely or on technology, while being physically connected, in the same way that 2 people could work on 2 different computers sitting side by side on a couch. And even if they only had the easy use of one arm, there are one-handed keyboards that allow people to type efficiently. So one could be doing data analysis for a financial company, and the other could be writing a novel. How many one-armed, conjoined, novel-writing data analysts do you know? 3. The fact that that number is not 2 implies a tragic backstory. Or op meant 3 pairs. So anyways, I have this idea for a new novel. Or op means a conjoined triplet with 2 novelists, ans 1 data analyst. Twins, both analysts, but only one is an author. Off the top of my head. 3.5. Sure, but how would their expenses be so meaningfully distinguished? And could a financial penalty for murder, where they could still probably enjoy virtually all the expenses of their twin, ever be justified? Being a conjoined twin is such a serious disability that in a reasonable world they shouldn't have to work at all to make a living. I mean, overall yes, but I think they're going for a fine being better than jail in terms of what the innocent twin has to deal with. But the intent of that form of punishment is that it's seen within this scenario as just a lighter sentence, not simply whether it's right or wrong to functionally submit them to the same punishment. And they may not have the same job. Perhaps they both work online, which is highly likely these days, and have very different jobs. Interesting thought exercise though. How is the sex offender thing going to work out without punishing the other twin? Like if one wants to see their kid's school play, but they can't since the sex offender is banned. The punishment is still applying to the innocent. You can't be closer than 200 meters to schools. And you can't be closer than 199 meters because of your brother. Note: not a reply to the above post. I am not a believer in the current prison system, isolating criminals to keep them away from society until they're safe to be around. Fairly neutral about that. Taking away all their rights and autonomy. No. I am assuming both twins have their own separate brains, but share the rest of their bodies. Reply to the above post. Reading that, I am thinking home supervision and an allowance, since neither of them are ever getting a job if one of them is registered as a sex offender or a murderer. What's an employer going to do? Pretend the other guy isn't there and hope for the best. Plus, it's already been proven that the innocent twin can't intervene or stop the other one from committing crime or life in an expensive clinic or institution. One geared towards reintegration rather than punishment. Assuming the guilty twin makes use of doctor or client confidentiality, and the innocent one isn't allowed to overheat anything. If the twins both have their own separate sight and hearing abilities, the guilty one can go through therapy while the innocent one can put on NC headphones or read a book. Also, the innocent twin might need trauma therapy. How are you going to facilitate that without the guilty twin sabotaging it? Even if the headphone solution is reversed, like hell, a malicious twin is going to shut up and mind his own business. Medical treatment-wise, innocent twin has insomnia. Behavioral sleep therapy is hard enough on your own. A pharmaceutical solution will probably affect both bodies. Same for sedatives. Even small doses of antipsychotics can make a healthy person feel like they're living in a dream state. So anything that affects cognition or autonomy, think alternating sleeping pills so they can live separate lives, is out. Yeah, as hypothetical question, it's a great one to make me consider a lot of things. But in reality, I am glad it's not for me to decide. Plus, it's already been proven that the innocent twin can't intervene or stop the other one from committing crime. This brought up another interesting question for me: would the other twin not be charged with aiding and abetting the crime or something similar? If they saw their other half about to murder someone and did nothing to stop it or alert the authorities, etc., then wouldn't they be culpable too? Thinking face. But what if the innocent twin did nothing because they were worried the murder twin would harm them? I highly doubt the murderous twin would even be able to harm them without harming themselves. Well, maybe the murderous one could also be suicidal. If you don't cooperate, I'll kill both of us. Thanks, best piece so far on this. The look at the pregnancy analogy was interesting. That would be a constitutional nightmare for any judge that would give any lawyer a boner. The easier route would be to find both guilty or find both innocent, because any other choice is just too much headache. It would be a nightmare for any judge, not just the super sexy ones. Not what I meant. Sigh. Well played. Punctuation man. The difference between let's eat grandma and let's eat grandma. Punctuation man. The difference between an observation and a hero with a really crappy superpower. BRB calling an emergency meeting to report hunter shot bear's body. I hope user Oimakek doesn't have a conjoined twin. If an imposter is conjoined with a crewmate, how do you vote only the imposter off? Simple. Just get the imposter to cut off the inno half, and then eject the imposter. Sozzle. Vote them each off consecutively. If two astronauts were on the moon, and one killed the other with a rock, would that be fucked up or what? This thread right here is why I joined, and begrudgingly continue to browse Reddit. Thanks for keeping the faith alive. I was in storage, so it can't be me. Ick man kind of sus that you had to say it couldn't be you. Or it's black or red. Always black or red. This chain of replies is spectacularly arousing. Like the judge who would have a constitutional nightmare and would give a lawyer a boner. Capitalization man. The difference between helping your uncle jack off a horse and helping your uncle jack off a horse. LOL, that was so good. Punctuation man. The difference between a two-item list and a sentence fragment. The difference between Jane enjoys cooking, her family, and her dog, and Jane enjoys cooking, her family, and her dog. The difference between helping your uncle, Jack, off a horse, and helping your uncle jack off a horse. Helping your uncle jack off a horse. I am not sure I want to watch that version of The Incredibles. If you really want to get nerdy, punctuation and grammar actually save, or you or Dildo Ganking's post and make it correct. Or you or PM me cute cats' example would have been written as any judge who would give any lawyer a boner because a judge is a person and should thus be described as who. The original use of that makes it clear that the boner-inducing trait belongs to an inanimate object, namely, the constitutional nightmare. I had to read this guy's comments a couple of times to get it, but Jesus fucking Christ, do you deserve all the awards at upvotes? This joke is fucking gold. Accessory. This was my thought also, as the twin had to have know about it. It really depends. Like, what if they're waiting at a train station and out of the blue one of them shoves a random person in front of a train, and the other is just like, what the fuck, dude? I think in that case then, if they can't be surgically separated, it would be unjust to throw them in prison. Throwing an innocent person in prison can't be justified, even if not doing it means letting a murderer walk. Even if you could separate them surgically, it would be cruel for the law to force surgery on someone, especially the innocent one. I think the judge would basically just let them go, even if proven guilty, rather than put an innocent person in jail. And typically, if conjoined twins can be separated surgically, it will have happened already. They don't just suddenly decide to separate when they get sick of each other or kill someone, lol. It's a huge, extremely dangerous surgery that's done as soon as possible after they're born. How many times could that work, though? I mean, what if there was a serial killer twin out there? Would it just be dismissed every time it were brought up due to not wanting to deal with the headache? There's definitely no way a conjoined twin could be a serial killer without the other knowing. Every time I went to sleep, I would wake up in a freshly Cloroxed basement with what looked like faded bloodstains on the floor. What if it's always in the moment? A push in front of a train, throwing someone into traffic, shoving off a bridge. You can't reasonably expect an innocent twin to spend the rest of their life isolated, may as well imprison them. Yeah, but what's he going to do? Frank. Now I need you to hear me out. I need you to walk us to the phone, and help with your hand while I make a call. The conversation may come off as startling and maybe even make you angry, so please don't start jumping up and down or moaning again. But they didn't have a choice to be there. Throw them in a river. If they both die, they weren't guilty. If they live, they were guilty and get sent to prison. Everyone's a winner. What also floats in water? A duck. Therefore, ducks are terrorists. Finally, we can end the war on terror. A witch. Very small rocks. Churches. Last words. More weight. Giles Corey. Lord Humongous has spoken. The easier route would be to find both guilty. The innocent one would probably ask for a separate trial. They couldn't find them guilty if there's no evidence that twin committed the murder. Because obviously lawyers try to avoid headaches so they can get some nice sleep. They would have to find both innocent then. It's well-established legal precedent that it's better to let a guilty man walk free than to let an innocent one go to prison. Not that this always plays out in practice. New business idea. Train conjoined twins for assassination work. But only one of the twins. Guaranteed get out of jail free cards. Not to mention the entire law of privileged exchange between two parties, as between husband and wife in most cases. Murder, for example, would have to be completely rewritten. I think you could find the other guilty as an accessory at the very least. I mean, if they make an effort to stop the other, it will probably be successful since it's pretty much one half of your body fighting against you, so if they don't, they pretty much let it happen. Mere presence or failure to act in absence of a duty to act isn't grounds to charge someone as an accessory. They'd have to participate. This Reminds me of my old joke scheme of hiring conjoined twins to be the fall person for all the insider trading and general legal, financial and corporate malfeasance at your billion-dollar company. However, you make sure it's documented that one of the twins was always wearing a blindfold and listening to an iPod, etc., so they were never party to the confidential business of the other twin, and so couldn't be punished for the crimes. As you are a man of intelligence, answer me this. If you hire conjoined twins for a job, secretary, data entry guy, etc., should you pay them one salary or two? Cost they would be just doing one job, but they are two people. As a real-world example, I know that in the documentary about the Hensel twins, when they got a teaching job they received the value of a single salaried position, but were each separately paid half of it. All the cons, none of the pros. Damn. It would drop your tax bracket a few notches. Also, one could teach while the other works remote from the school. I was curious on how the classroom would operate, and here is a short video on it. I may consider myself tolerant and progressive, but I am not nearly as cool as the kids that they are teaching. It weirds me out to a degree that I am not proud of. I can't be the only one wondering about their sex life. Like, how would it work if one was into a guy and the other wasn't, or one of them was a lesbian or asexual? I would hazard a guess that the other twin could be accused of being an accessory at the very least. What if the other twin actively tried to stop the murdering twin? Or was unconscious while the other twin committed the murder? Well, was it a planned murder or an act of passion? Was it accidental, leaving no time for the other twin to act? We'll need Op to weigh in on the details, I think. As with any murder, I think all of those factors would need to be taken into consideration. But I think as OP's question is phrased, we're meant to consider a case where it is clear that one twin is innocent and the other is guilty of murder. Several possible scenarios could fit the bill. The guilty twin may have planned the murder and not informed the other twin. The guilty twin may have committed murder while the innocent twin was sleeping or unconscious. The guilty twin may have lashed out suddenly in a murderous act without giving the innocent twin enough time to intervene. The innocent twin may have been physically unable to intervene, due to their anatomical positioning in relation to their twin, or due to which body parts they have control over. Even though sentencing in a case where the other twin could somehow be implicated would weigh more comfortably on the conscience, I think Op's question is meant to have us consider a clear-cut case where one twin is clearly innocent. I guess they would have to do some sort of physical and cognitive ability test to see where they're at. If it's a conjoined twin that is only controlling of the head and one arm, unlikely they'll call accessory, but if it's someone who is just conjoined at the head and has full control of their own body, then I can see how that would make sense. Are you a fan of American Horror Story? The Freak Show season has a scenario kind of like this. I don't think it ever actually gets resolved, though. I think this would be a really challenging case. I think the important thing to consider would be if the twin who committed the murder was a danger to society. If so, I think it would be important to keep them both imprisoned in a way that protects society, but doesn't unnecessarily punish the innocent twin. Something like house arrest, or detention at some sort of high-security residential facility that still provided access to internet, family visits, etc. I would say personal restraints on the evil twin's extremities. Handcuffs and that anti-biting mask Lecter had. By the way, if anyone's creating a comic book villain, this guy just pitched a great design. Sounds like a Dark Souls boss, to be entirely honest, ha ha ha. That would be a knight that swings an Iron Maiden attached to his shoulder with the brother inside. Kill the knight and the Iron Maiden breaks and releases an animalistic beast that drags the knight's corpse four-legged. Everyone is overthinking this. There is a super easy answer. Whichever twin gets found guilty has to wear the bee cage from the Wicker Man for a year. Oh geez. Oh bees. I hate how that movie overshadows the original in fame due to how bad it is. Why is this not the top comment? Clearly the right answer. You don't punish the other. We live in a society that would rather let a guilty man go free than punish an innocent one. Any judge would feel very conflicted, but would eventually choose to declare the murderer guilty, but not impose a sentence that affects both men. I mean, it would be a legal nightmare from the start. Can you even keep the other one in jail during trial if there is no charge? Would have to at least be charged with accessory or something. I assumed the question was a textbook theoretical, academic question, asked to push the limits of the modern legal system. For that question to be difficult enough, one twin has to be 100% guilty, and the other has to be 100% innocent. However, in real life, how does one twin commit murder without the other conjoined twin participating? If he wasn't actively stopping the murder from happening, how is he not an accessory to murder? They are in a subway. Twin 1 is a psycho with a knife that stabs guy next to him to death. That's not too hard to conceive, is it? The twins are walking down the street, and one of them shoots someone in cold blood before the first one has the chance to react. Does a legal duty exist to stop crime though? Failure to report a crime under Federal Law 18 U.S.C. Section 4 if you know of the plan ahead of time, and do nothing to stop it. It's very rarely charged. Most states have their own version of this law as well. However, a duty to step in and risk your life does not exist. There are Good Samaritan laws in some states that would protect you if you do, whereas in others if you choose to act you have to deal with the full consequences. If you assist the criminal in any way, then you can be hit with a conspiracy to commit charge. Edit. In the United States, as of 2009, 10 states had laws on the books requiring that people at least notify law enforcement of or seek aid for strangers in peril under certain conditions. There is also a tort in the common law under duty to rescue where you may have to deal with civil repercussions, but it is rarely used to bring criminal charges. And then if the murderous twin keeps murdering. How stoned are you? Stoning sounds like a good punishment, am I right? Wow! You are still with us. Thanks for being such a nice person. As long as you are here, why not like this video and subscribe to our channel? Also, you can press the bell icon, so you won't miss any future uploads.